Good evening. I'm Dagan McDowell.
And I'm Jason Chaffetz. Welcome to The Bottom Line.
This Fox Business alert. Masses of students storming Columbia's main library during finals week. You can see them here outside the main entrance after security blocked in the protesters who were able to get inside.
And all these masked protesters storming into a reading room, they now have to show their ID or their face, their choice. We'll bring you the latest as the chaos unfolds. But first to this.
Third time, not a charm. Once again, Jay Powell and his Federal Reserve refusing to cut interest rates today, keeping short-term rates at 4.25% to 4.5%, because you know it's President Trump in the White House now. Remember how Powell served up one fat, juicy rate cut just for Kamala weeks before the election when inflation was running hotter? But Jerome, making you pay more, Powell, says the Fed will take a wait-and-see approach because of tariffs.
If the large increases in tariffs that have been announced are sustained, they're likely to generate a rise in inflation, a slowdown in economic growth, and an increase in unemployment. My gut tells me that uncertainty about the path of the economy is extremely elevated, and that the downside risks have increased. I think it's obvious, actually, that the right thing for us to do is we're in a good place. Our policy's in a very good place. And the right thing to do is await further clarity.
His gut tells him? He's surrounded by economists, but his gut tells him? Yikes.
Oh, God.
An unlikely duo in the Senate is now introducing legislation to require a presidentially approved and Senate-confirmed Inspector General for the Federal Reserve, none other than Senators Rick Scott and Elizabeth Warren.
Florida Senator Rick Scott, without Elizabeth Warren, mercifully joins us now. Sorry, Senator Scott. Thank you so much for being here. Why is there the need for this right now?
Well, first off, Jay Powell is a disaster. The balance sheet, the assets of the Federal Reserve are worth $1 trillion less than the liabilities. We are losing $100 billion a year right now. This is all under Jay Powell. It didn't happen before. And think about this. We know we've had the accusations of insider trading, right? He's building a $2.5 billion office building. We had Silicon Valley Bank failed. No accountability. There's no review of insider trading of Federal Reserve board members. There's no review. No one did, and no one must have done anything wrong on Silicon Valley Bank failing. No accountability. So Jay Powell's got to go. We've got to get an independent inspector general to hold Jay Powell and whoever the chairman is, whoever the board members, hold them accountable. It's what we do in business. We always have independent auditors. We ought to have independent inspector generals like we do in almost every federal agency, but not the Federal Reserve.
Good point. So what can you do to get that done? And then the other part of it is, doing it with Elizabeth Warren raises some red flags. But, boy, you're on the two ends of the political spectrum. I got to believe that you can actually get that bill passed.
Well, Senator Warren and I both believe in accountability on the Federal Reserve. We both know that Jay Powell has been a disaster. There's been no accountability in the Federal Reserve. And so we're going to get this done. I'm very optimistic that everybody agrees with us. We need to have accountability. We can't watch what Jay Powell has done. Watch insider trading happen. Watch banks fail. Nobody gets it. There's no accountability. So I'm very optimistic that we're going to get this done.
Senator Scott, let's talk about China finally beginning to engage with the United States, with Jameson Greer and the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, kind of opening discussions, if you will, starting in Switzerland this weekend. Why do you think that is? Because not only, as Larry Kudlow has pointed out, has China started hiding the economic data from the rest of the world, stopped publishing hundreds of statistics, factories are closing and riots are erupting there. And they need us more than we need them.
They absolutely need us. Their entire economy is tied to selling stuff to Americans. Now let's think about it. The government of China intentionally kills Americans through fentanyl. It's an intentional act. They've never complied with any trade deal. I mean, think about it. They didn't comply with the last Trump trade deal. They have never complied with the World Trade Organization. So I'm a business guy. If somebody lied to me, you think I'm going to do the second deal with them? I don't see. Look, I think it's helpful. I think it's great. You know, Jameson Greer is an eternal optimist. I've talked to James about that. He always is hopeful that we can get something done. My belief is the government of China is a bunch of liars. They're killing Americans intentionally. Don't return their phone call. Don't have a meeting until they commit to all these changes, and you can verify their changes. On top of that, why would we as Americans buy their products or their services when they're trying to destroy our way of life?
Crush them. I think strategic decoupling or crushing them. I'll take either.
So, Senator, part of what the CCP-linked firms get to do is participate in our U.S. exchanges. Why are they allowed to participate in our stock markets and whatnot? When they got ties to the Chinese government, they get all the benefits and none of the consequences.
On top of that, it's a violation of our existing law. You cannot be on our exchanges if you don't comply with generally accepted accounting principles. They are not. All right, so I've talked to the new chairman of the SEC. He's committed to enforce the law, which that means is Chinese companies will no longer be on our exchanges. I ask all of our exchanges today in a letter to them, get every Chinese company off our exchanges. And Americans, stop investing in Chinese companies. If they lie to you, you can't go sue them, right? And you know their numbers are not accurate because they won't give us all the information. Stop investing in China and stop allowing them to sell stocks and bonds on the American stock exchanges.
How quickly can this happen? And Senator, do you think there needs to be kind of a message from President Trump? I don't disagree with the policy of crushing China, but the process, because there are a lot of smaller businesses, a lot of businesses left hanging who don't have, the access of Tim Cook, and he gets an exemption for his iPhones that are made in China. How quickly can all of this happen? In terms of, and do you think that we can really decouple from China and punish that communist nation?
We're going to have to anyway. They want to invade Taiwan. Do you think we're going to be buying Chinese products and services the day after they invade Taiwan? We're not. So we know what the future holds. She has said what he's going to do. So we're going to have to decouple. So why not do it today? Is it going to be difficult? Absolutely. And my heart goes out to the businesses that have continued to rely on China. All right, they should never have done that. And so let's figure out how we can help them. But let's look at where we're going. We have to decouple from China. They're a despicable government that wants to destroy us, our lives, and our way of life. So this is going to happen. We can't buy their drugs. We can't buy their products. We can't buy their services. They're lying, cheating, and stealing. So with regard to getting them off our exchanges, that could happen tomorrow. The SEC has the power to do this, and I know Paul Atkins is committed to making it happen.
Senator Rick Scott from Florida, thanks so much for joining us on The Bottom Line.
All right. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.